Hi, I'm going to tell you a story, a modern folk tale called Goldilocks Returns. Do you remember the story of Goldilocks? Do you remember what she did? Well, this story takes place many, many years later. Goldilocks is an older woman now. And you remember as a child, she was very naughty. She snooped around houses. Remember the house she went to? The Three Bears? All that trouble she had with the Three Bears? Well, now she's grown up, and she still feels awful about her behavior at the Three Bears home. She's shortened her name to Goldi now, and she pins her curls up. I don't have curls, but she pins her curls up on her hair so nobody can recognize her. And she opened a shop to help people to protect them from snoops. And she tried to leave her life of crime behind, but it haunted her day and night. She had nightmares about bears. She even cried at the mere sight of a teddy bear. And all of her customers started to look like bears. I can't take it any longer, Goldie said. So one morning, she loaded up her truck, closed up her shop, and drove off into the deep, deep forest, the deep, dark forest. Well, very interesting, but at that very moment, the Three Bears, whom she had scared out of their wits many years ago, were just sitting down to breakfast. And you know what happens when the Three Bears sit for breakfast? Well, these Three Bears had the same problem every single day. You know what their problem was? You're right. That porridge was too cold. So what did they do? You're right. They took a walk. They got their coats, and off they went and took their walk and left their house. They actually took their hats. But anyways, no sooner had they left the house that Goldie pulled right up in front, and she went and knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. And guess what? Like before, nobody was home. She was very gleeful. She was very happy. And she said, I can fix the front door, because she went and felt the front door, or felt the knob, and guess what? The door opened wide. So she got her tool bag and strapped that on. And she took her hammer and her screwdriver, and she put in a new padlock, a double bolt, and a secret anti-snoop lock that she used only in the most serious cases. And then she said, won't they be delighted? What do you think? So next, Goldie headed into the kitchen. What did she see in the kitchen? Those 3 bowls of porridge. What'd she do? She poured them down the sink. She said, ugh, ish, that stuff's terrible. And she took out her special fat-free Rutabaker breakfast bars, and her celery drink, her celery juice. And then she took out all the things in the cupboard that she did not like, all the food, and she stocked the cupboards with those Rutabaker breakfast bars and that celery juice. Then she said, I need to spruce up the place. So she pulled out some bolts of pom-pom fringe. You may not know what bolts of pom-pom, that's where they have that material, thin material, long, and they wrap it around some cardboard, and they have little balls on that long string. She took it off of that bolt with the cardboard, and she went and decorated the dining room table, she decorated the chairs, and she used her hammer gun, her staple gun, and she stapled all that on, and she said, oh, don't they look beautiful? And then she hung up hoity-toity curtains. Ever hear that word, hoity-toity? They're like, snobbish curtains, like only the finest houses have had. she felt the results were stunning. So she was feeling a little bit better now. She had fixed the front door. She had threw away all that old porridge. She had tidied up the house and decorated it. And then she went into the living room. Well, guess what she saw in the living room? You're right. Those 3 chairs. But there were only 2 chairs this time and a little rocking chair. That little chair that broke, Baby Bear didn't want anymore, so they built a rocking chair horse for him. Well, Mama's chair was, yep, you're right. Guess what that was? That was too soft still. And Papa's chair was too hard. So she took some of the stuffing out of Mama Bear's chair and she put it in Papa Bear's chair. That made Mama Bear's chair harder and Papa Bear's chair softer. And she took apart that rocking horse and built Baby Bear's chair all over again. And guess where she went next after she felt so proud she had done that? She raced up the stairs to the 3 bears' bedroom. And of course she had to test out the beds again. And before you could say Rip Van Winkle, you know who Rip Van Winkle is? She adjusted the stuffings to her finicky liking. And you know what that means. She took stuffing from Mama Bear's too soft bed and put it in Papa Bear's too hard bed. And guess what she did after she did that? She lay down on Baby Bear's bed. And what did she do when she was lying in Baby Bear's bed? You're right. She fell asleep. She had her most peaceful sleep since the last 50 years. Well, guess who came home? The 3 bears came back from their walk. Papa Bear looked at the front door and said, "What on?" He noticed all the locks on the door. And then he heard Baby Bear squealing. Even though Baby Bear was older, he was still squealing from all the trauma he had when she scared him when he was a very wee little bear. So his voice was always like this. "Oh no, oh my gosh, oh my heavens," he cried in his wee little voice. "Look, look!" And when they saw all of that pom-pom fringe all decorated with the house, they just were so surprised. Papa Bear snarled at the side of the table, and he bellowed in his big voice, "Someone has taken my porridge." And Mama Bear said, "Someone has taken my porridge," in her medium-sized voice. And Baby Bear said, "And someone has taken my porridge and has thrown it all away." Well, they remembered what happened next the last time Goldilocks had been at their house, and they ran into the living room. And it was a shocking sight. Papa Bear fell right into his poofy chair. And he said, "Someone's been fooling with my chair." And Mama Bear tried her chair, and she said, "This chair is as hard as a rock." And little Baby Bear screamed, "Ah! Someone has been fooling with my chair, and they put it back together." Well, all 3 bears ran helter-skelter upstairs. "Phew," Baby Bear said, "what's that smell?" "Ravishing roses," Mama Bear said, picking up the empty bottle from the floor. Goldi had sprayed it to make the place smell beautiful. The other 2 bears, the Mama Bear and Papa Bear, didn't even look at their beds. They knew a bed that they might see somebody in, and they ran to Baby Bear's bed. And there she was again. Goldi's eyes popped open. What do you think she did? She shouted, "You're home!" giving each bear a hug and a kiss on their furry cheeks. Well, this shocked the bears. They opened their mouths really wide to protest. But Goldi ran on. No, don't thank me. I know you're terribly grateful, But after all, I was the one who caused all the trouble to begin with. And of course now I have made up for all of that. She danced around the house. She pointed out all the things she did, the rutabaga bars, the celery juice, in the bowls, the chairs in the living room now all soft and not too hard and not too soft, and the baby bear's chair all fixed, and the beds upstairs not too fluffy, not too hard. And she chuckled, tapping Papa Bear on the stomach, saying, I got rid of that nasty porridge, and now maybe you'll lose some weight. She touched his big belly. Well, Papa Bear was not happy. He began to growl, but before he could get the growl all out of his body, Goldi tossed him the keys to her fancy locks. She hugged them all again. She climbed in her truck and was off. And the bears yelled, Wait, come back! But it did no good. Goldi was gone, smiling. She unpinned her curls and shook them in the breeze. And the bears just turned around slowly and looked at their cottage. They moved awkwardly around their fancy schmancy house. They couldn't eat. They couldn't get comfortable in their chairs. And so they finally went to bed, but there nobody slept a wink. So the next morning, as the bears, as exhausted as they were, sat at their table staring at their rutabaga breakfast bars and their celery juice, decided they should go for a walk. So the bears went off on their walk, relieved to be from their house. But just as they were on their walk, Baby Bear spotted something through the trees. It was a very mischievously looking girl. Oh no, he panicked. Not this again. What was he thinking? Could this be another Goldilocks? We didn't lock the door. Quick! Stop her! She might eat our food. She might mess up our fancy things. She might break my chair. Well, the bears began to run after the little girl, but then they finally stopped, and they said, Mama Bear said, eat the food? And Papa Bear said, mess up the fancy things? And Baby Bear said,